and bring them closer, and that immediately creates more of that like a horsey face. Hey everyone, welcome to my new tutorial, the first one of 2024, and today we are going to create all of these chess pieces, and I really hope you will enjoy this one. And if you do, please don't forget to leave that like. And if you generally enjoy what I do around here and you want to learn in the most effective way, be sure to check out my courses. I carefully designed them to take you from beginner skills through low poly illustration all the way to full character illustration and textured environments. So if you're interested, please check out the link in the description. Now let's jump right into empty Blender file, and first of all let's just drag a selection around everything, press X and delete. And now we'll need some reference. It's always a good habit to model from reference and not eyeballing things. So let's press 3 on a numpad for a side view. And I have my image prepared right here. You can go ahead, you can find the link in the description and download it yourself, or find a different one if you want. Doesn't really matter as long as there are all 6 chess pieces there and in the shapes that you like. So let me just take this image and drag it right here, and I'll press Alt G to reset the location to the middle. And basically for this particular image this will be enough because it kind of goes through the middle here. So right now let's just go to the image settings and let's turn off perspective, front side, and I will enable opacity and reduce it all the way down like this. And one more thing I want to do, let's press S, then Y, and -1, I want to flip the image. I want the horsey to be facing left side. Yeah, I know he's called the knight, but let me just call him horsey. And this one in particular isn't so great, but I like the shape, I like the general shape. So we'll be customizing this anyway. So for the general shape I think this will be okay. And let's just start by creating bases for the pieces, because there is a lot of common geometry, even though slightly modified. For this to work, you will need to go Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and search for Extra, and enable Add Mesh Extra Objects. Just check the box right here and close the preferences. And now if you press Shift A, you will have the option to add mesh, single vert, and add single vert. This will basically just add single vertex, but it will go directly into the edit mode. So let's tab out of the edit mode right now and press G, then Y, and move it. Here we'll create the king as a first piece, or at least the base for it. So let's tab into the edit mode and press 1. Make sure you are in the vertex select mode, and press E, then Y, and extrude this vertex to the side like this. Now to make things a little bit easier, let's go to the modifiers and let's add subdivision modifier right away. I'm in the Blender 4 right here, so I will need to go here in the menu and choose subdivision surface, and let's increase the levels to 2. And now let's zoom in a little bit and press E and start extruding, and you will see we have the subdivision active right away. So we'll need to go in smaller increments around these corners, and then right here we can go like larger chunks like this, and you can see how the subdivision surface smooths out your mesh. So let's create a profile like this. Okay, and let's just finish right here. And I think this will be enough, or you know what, let's... Okay, and let's just finish right here near the middle. And now we'll just go ahead and add second modifier, and that'll be the screw modifier. So again, add modifier, go generate, and screw modifier. And that will basically instantly create the chess piece for you. But here there's a little hole, so you need to check merge. And now press G, then Y, and start going towards the middle until it connects like this and it disappears. So yeah, this will be the base for our chess piece. And now let's make sure the screw modifier is actually in front of the subdivision, so we get this nice smooth shape. So let's look from the side by pressing 3 again. And now I will duplicate this few times and modify it so I can create all of these 6 bases. So let's go ahead, enable X-ray. And now we can tab out, press Shift D, press Y and slide it over like this. And now first we can do some adjustments in the object mode, so press S then Z and just scale it down like this so it matches the base shape, like that. Now we can press Ctrl A and apply that scale, tap into the edit mode, select these vertices and just move them up on the Z-axis like this, and if you want you can move them closer on the Y-axis and smooth this part out a little bit according to the reference. Or you can create your own shape, doesn't really matter that much. But now here I want to select all of these vertices right here, press X and delete them. And here we'll just close this up, so press E then Y and go towards the middle. And again we'll go until it connects. And now we'll leave it like this because this will be a custom geometry here. If you look at the reference, there is some custom shape and we wouldn't be able to achieve this using only the screw modifier, so we'll leave that one for later. And now we can continue towards the bishop, so tab out, press Shift D and Y again, place it like this, and now again we can press S to scale it down and it matches perfectly, so press Ctrl A and apply the scale, tab into the edit mode, and again we'll press G then Z and move this down. And we can zoom in a little bit here and modify the general shape. So let's just select these vertices here, bring them up, and then, you know, change this part a little bit so it better matches the reference like this. Okay, I will leave it like that, and now let me press Shift D again, Y in the object mode, and move it right here. And basically here we'll just go into the edit mode, so tap in, select all of these vertices, press X and delete them. And here let's bring this up a little bit, you can bring up the whole thing and basically just, and now just extrude this towards here, and we'll leave it like this. This will be the base for the horsey. That'll be probably the most difficult piece to make, so we'll leave that one for last. And now let's go ahead and move on. So we can tab out, select the bishop again, press Shift D, Y and move it to the side, and I think this matches quite alright. So tab into the edit mode, and again we can delete all of this, press X and delete vertices. And now let's just move this here and extrude the shape. Here this is a little bit different, and wherever you have these sharp corners, you can just do smaller increments when extruding and it should work just fine, like that. And here let's go up now towards the middle, something like here, and now we'll go down, extrude, and towards the middle. And now again we'll make sure we close any holes here, and then later we are going to cut into this with booleans. So let's tab out, let's look from the side by pressing 3 on an numpad, and let's create the last piece here. So I think the bishop will be the best choice, so press Shift D then Y and move it right here. And again let's press S to scale this down like here, press Ctrl A and apply the scale. Now tab into the edit mode and we'll bring this closer, of course, to match the shape here, and get rid of these, press X and delete. And now let's continue with the shape. And again, let's make sure we close any openings, and we can of course refine that spherical shape here. If you want, you can also close the shape right here and then create a sphere above. That's totally up to you if you want the perfect spherical shape there, but I'm okay with this like that. And now finish up with the details, so we can tab out. Let's finish the bishop first. So I will tab in, and first of all let's press G and move this vertex right here, and we'll continue that shape that we see on the reference. this, and again let's close this. Okay, and now we are going to create that cut. So tab out, hold Shift S and snap cursor to select it, and now press Shift A and we'll add mesh and cube. Tab into the edit mode, press S to scale it down like this, and S then Z to scale on the Z axis. Now we can tab out and press G and move it up right here. And now let's just press R to rotate, and I'm aligning this with that side approximately. And now I want to make it thinner a little bit, so tab into the edit mode. And now since we rotated this, we can press S, then Y, and Y again to enable scaling along the local axis, just like that. And we can select these and press G twice and slide them closer. We don't need this so large. And now let's look from the top, press A, S then X, and scale it on X axis so we cover the whole part. Now tab out. And for this second part to work, let's go edit, preferences, add-ons, and make sure you enable bool tool add-on. So let's search for bool, and again just check the box, close the preferences, and now hold Shift, select the piece, and press Ctrl and minus on a numpad. That will create that boolean cut for you. Now we can toggle the X-ray again, and you can see the weird shading there, but we can get rid of that easily by right-clicking and choosing Shade Auto Smooth, and that will create these nice sharp edges. And then let's press Ctrl P and Object Keep Transform, so we parenting this to the piece so it moves along with it. Now we'll do the same thing here for the rook. So select that one, hold Shift S, snap cursor to select it. Now let's press Shift A and we'll add a cube again. Let's look from the top, tab into the edit mode, and again we can enable X-ray, press S to scale this down, something like this, and then S, then X, and all the way out like here. Okay, now tab out. Let's look from the side by pressing 3 on a numpad, press G, then Z, and move it up here. Now tab into the edit mode, press S, then Z, and scale it up so it almost touches the ground here. You can see it right there. And now while still in the edit mode, press Shift D, and immediately right after that press R and then Z, and enter 90 degrees on the keyboard and enter. So they'll rotate it 90 degrees, and it's part of the object because we duplicated that in the edit mode. So if you tab out, you can see this is one object, and you can hold Shift, select the rook, and press Ctrl and minus again to make that cut. And again, to make sure the shading is okay, right click and Shade Auto Smooth, and this should work nicely. And again, we can press Ctrl P and parent the object. So that's half of the pieces already done. So let's look from the side and let's handle the queen here. So select the piece, hold Shift and snap cursor to select it. And now let's press Shift A and we'll create mesh and a circle. And now in the add circle options, let's modify this to something like 20 vertices. That should be enough. And now press G then Z and move this up so it kind of sits here on the top. Now tab into the edit mode, press S to scale it down. Okay, and now press E then Z, extrude it here. E then Z again, and press S to scale. Now we can alt click this loop right here and press Ctrl B to bevel, and we can increase number of cuts with the mouse wheel. So let's create a shape like this. Now alt click the top loop again, press E then Z again, and scale it down just like that. Now we'll enable X-ray view, press E then Z, and extrude this down, and press S to scale it back and a little bit up like this. So you kind of get this shape right here. This is important. So it kind of ends where the spherical shape should begin, just like this. And then we can just press E then Z, extrude it up, and press F to fill like this, and press Ctrl B to bevel and increase number of cuts with the mouse wheel. So we get something like this here. Just make sure you don't touch down there. Okay, and now we can select all of these vertices on top, hold Shift S, snap cursor to select it, tab out, and let's press Shift A, and let's add a round cube. Now we'll switch this to quad sphere, and reduce to something like 4 divisions. Tab into the edit mode, scale it down, and now we can tab out and place it on top like this. And now let's handle that final shape. So toggle the X-ray, select this piece right here, tab into the edit mode, and now go for face select by pressing 3 on a numpad. Alt click this loop, and let's go select and checker deselect, no pun intended, and now press Alt E and extrude faces on normals and extrude this out like this. If you want to modify this, you can just press Alt S and continue up or down without additional extrusion. But make sure you keep this selected and press Ctrl B and create a bevel here. Just reduce the number of cuts only to 1. And now press Ctrl R to create a loop cut right here, to create a support loop, and one here. Now if you go ahead and add subdivision surface, it will create this nice shape, and we can increase levels in the viewport to 2, and I think this works nicely. Now down here I want to close this up, so first of all let's create a loop cut here by pressing Ctrl R and Alt click the loop down there, press F to fill, and enable X-ray view and press I to inset to create a support loop there as well. And yeah, now you can just tab out, right click, shade smooth, select this one, press Ctrl 1, that's the shortcut for subdivision surface, right click, shade smooth, and basically that's your queen. Now for the king, they'll be pretty straightforward, so let's look from the side by pressing 3 on a numpad. Let's zoom in a little bit and let's select it, and let's hold Shift S, snap cursor to select it again, press Shift A, and let's add another cube right here. Tab into the edit mode, let's make it smaller, tab out, press G then Z and move it up somewhere here. This is a little bit shifted to the side here, but don't worry about it. Tab into the edit mode, let's scale it up, press S, then Y, scale it on Y axis like this. Now let's press Ctrl R and create 2 cuts right here. Let's press S then Y and scale them up just like that. And now enable X-ray again, select the bottom verts and just extrude them. And now we just scale it to match the shape, but be careful not to scale to all sides. We only want to scale on Y axis. So press S then Y, E again, and S then Y again. And on top here, let's do the same thing. Like this. Okay, maybe we can scale this out a little bit. And now let's create some support loops. So press Ctrl R and place one here, on the other side as well, and here, so we have like a more sharper transitions there. And let's add some here as well. And now if you go ahead and add subdivision surface, we'll create something like this. Of course, we can modify this a little bit because this is too rounded. So let's press Ctrl R and place the loops along the Y-axis as well. And I think this looks fine. So right click, shade smooth, and let me disable the X-ray view. And if you want, you can place one loop down there as well. So yeah, that's the king, and don't forget to parent everything again. So let me parent all of these objects to the base of the queen and all of this to the base of the king. And yeah, those are the pieces. Now the final one, the horsey guy. So let's handle that one. Select the base, hold Shift S, snap cursor to select it, and now let's press Shift A and we'll add mesh and a plane. Press G then Z and move it up. Tab into the edit mode, scale it down. And now let's press Ctrl R, create a loop cut right here in the middle, and we can just delete all of these vertices, so we basically have only this line in the middle. Now to make things a little bit easier, let's just select everything around and press H to hide, so we only see the knight. Now let's look from the side again, tab into the edit mode, and we can continue some extrusion. So press E and extrude it right here, and press S to scale it down. We are going to kind of trace the shape here. So again, press E to extrude and R to rotate. But now I want to merge these two. I want like a sharper turn. So let's enable auto merge right here. Select this corner, press G twice and slide it here until it touches, and then click, and it will merge for you just like that. Now we can disable auto merge so it doesn't mess up anything important, and we can toggle the X-ray again so we better see the underlying shape. And now let's press E to extrude, S to scale, and R to rotate to kind of match the flow here, like this. And yeah, this is probably something that will look just fine. Okay, now one more, like that. Here we can move the vertex. Here, let's go like this. And here we're gonna rotate this a little bit and place it like that. And we can basically go all the way. We'll modify this shape later a little bit, you will see. So this is just like a basic trace here. And now we can go ahead and add modifier, generate and mirror modifier. And it's already enabled on the axis X. So now if you select all and extrude on the X-axis, you will get something like this. So do the extrusion. But since we started in the middle, there are faces in there. If you go to the face select, there are faces inside, which would mess with your geometry in a great way. So let's look from the front by pressing 1 on a numpad. Select everything here in the middle, and now press X and delete faces. So this will create this nice manifold geometry. And now enable clipping so it kind of merges in the middle. And now let's press Ctrl R to place a loop cut right here. And here we are going to finish this with knife tool. So let's look from the side, press K for a knife tool, snap it here, and just do a cut like this and confirm. And now let's alt click this loop on the outside, that one, and press Ctrl B to create the bevel right here. And here we can go closer. So press G, then X, and go closer like this. Okay, and now we'll select these, press G, then X, and move them out tiny bit, and then the bottom one quite a lot, like this. Okay, I think this should work nicely as a basic shape. Now I will move these closer, like this, these two on the side. And now let's press Ctrl R, create a loop cut right here in the front, and let's press K and create a cut right here as well. So we have nice quads all around. And now we'll finish the shape of the front. So first of all, let's move this back, these two towards the front, and here we can go like this, and this one should go like under and something like this. Now this is the time to enable the subdivision surface, so we better see what we are doing. So let's go ahead and add one. Let's go for 2 steps of subdivision. And now at the bottom we can get rid of the face, so press X and delete faces. And now let's press Ctrl R and create a loop cut right here in the middle. Let's look from the side and create like a curve here, like this. And now we can kind of just go ahead and try to sculpt the shape a little bit better, so it's more of a horse and less a cow. Which might be a little bit challenging at times. We'll see about that. Now, first thing we'll need to do is those ears. So let's select this face right here and just extrude it. Scale it down and move it towards the front like this. Now let's look from the side and let's bring them closer so it's not a dog. Okay, let's move this here. Now, the one thing we need to do is kind of bring this part out a little bit and this part a little bit inside, like this. So you can see I just took those 3 vertices here and bring them closer, and that immediately creates more of that like a horsey face. And yeah, I think this is quite okay. Let me just move this a little bit. Okay, and for the ear here, I want to press Ctrl R and create a loop cut down there, like this. Okay, looks quite alright. And now for the, I think it's called mane, so let's look from the side. Our piece doesn't have one, but I saw a lot of pieces that had one, so I will just go ahead, select this face right here, hold Control all the way down here, and let's look from the side and press Alt E and extrude along normals, and extrude just a tiny bit, and now Alt E again. Okay, all like this, and now we can rotate this and move it around. So we create something like this, and press 2 for edge select, alt click this loop on the side, and press G twice to slide it towards the middle. Okay, and one more loop here to make it a little bit sharper. Okay, and maybe bring this one closer by pressing G twice. But all in all, I really like this as a chess piece. So let's just move on, tab into the edit mode, and we can round things down here a little bit. So let's press F to fill and Ctrl R to create a loop cut there. Okay, and maybe we can shift it a little bit here as well. Now this is a little bit more intricate shape, so maybe we could use more subdivisions like 3 and then play with the shape down there. So it kinda matches the underlying chess piece. So it's like more sculpted towards it. Okay, I think this works just fine, and maybe this can be like wider. Okay, and let's move it and place it a little bit better. Right click, shade smooth, and yeah, basically this should be it. So if you press Alt H, now all your pieces are visible. Let's parent this, and yeah, basically that's it. That's all your chess pieces modeling. I really hope you got the results you wanted and that you enjoyed it. I will go ahead and finish this, you know, create maybe some checkerboard and some like scene, so we have a nicer thumbnail. But this is the scope of the tutorial. It was all about the modeling and getting this done from a reference file. And again, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please again leave that like, and if you're new around here, hit that subscribe. Thank you all for watching and have a wonderful day.